Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Raphael from Curtin University.
Hi, and I'm Dr. Lesley Crowe-Delaney, also from Curtin University.
Welcome to Celebrity Chat.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about your research area?
Well, Jackie, I've just graduated PhD in tourism and coastal development was my topic in Japan, in Hyogo Prefecture, looking at how tourism plays a role in coastal development, and actually vice versa. Had a lovely field work opportunity, and I'm a geographer, so I wear many hats actually.
Now we had a little chat prior to this, and we're talking a little bit about bromance. So I'm just interested to know a little bit more about how bromance fits into your area of research, because it's quite a different perspective.
Absolutely, and I like looking at things in a different perspective. That's what academic research I think is all about. Beyond the PhD, I discovered that tourism in Japan, in rural and regional areas, is often portrayed in movies and on soap operas on television. And there's a bit of an underlying theme where the urbanite discovers a real life situation, so it seems, in the new town or village in which they move, and it's a hard thing to fit into a community, or it's been a difficult way of life change, families, upheavals, all those sorts of things. There's an underlying current. When I looked at your bromance celebrity chats, made me realise the underlying current is there is like a conduit or a gateway person. And that relationship, that mentorship, continues on in those themes, I suppose, in those particular tourism type movies. Then I had a look at the bromance, that you were talking about, and I realised there's a difference. But those differences continue on, and I suppose while I'm looking at the bromance, I really would like to explore in the future for my research the bromance and the mentorship, because mentorship, senior, junior, senpai, kohai relationships are really very strong in Japanese lifestyle. Probably something that really continues on, where the rural lifestyle is not really the urban person's pursuit unless they really want to change their lifestyle. So I'd like to just explore a few stereotypes and why Japanese advertising, movie makers, when they work together quite well, seem to continue this traditional relationship. Does it still exist? It's a big new pursuit. And I'll take it in small chunks.
So how would you say bromance is different within that culture versus, let's say, westernised Hollywood culture?
Well, I'm not a cultural specialist, so I'm always aware of stereotyping, and so I always put that up the front. What I have seen in particular movies, and one I'm looking at the moment is called Departures, or Okurito, which is about a young man and his wife going to a new village, and he's discovering himself, and he finds a mentor. But there is a relationship, a caring, something that may be similar to a Western style bromance, but there is more of that senior-junior understanding. And I then looked on certain websites and to see what other people had researched about bromance in Japanese movies. And there tends to be, it is a younger person's field, it is something that they look at, even though there is a senior-junior relationship where the senior might know the area more, might know about a topic more. There is more of an evenness in age compared to the mentoring. But it just got me thinking about those relationships. I mean, that's what I really liked about the celebrity chat, I think, about bromancing.
Yeah. Well, I guess with bromances, it's about creating a bond between two people. So I think in the context of what you're speaking about, it seems to be about a cultural adaptation and an adaptation to space. And that's where this senior and junior aspect's coming in, because they're coming into an environment new to it, and so having someone that may be from that environment can help to adapt to it, which I think does differ a little bit to a lot of the other romances that we've spoken about on Celebrity Chat before. Having said that, I think it depends on the film and the context of what we're discussing. So there's certainly, I think, a lot of sort of road trip films and things that would have very similar context to that. So it'd be interesting to do that sort of comparison, really.
Yeah. I just wondered too, though, whether bromance is really, maybe in the Japanese context, is not so much copying the Western movie thing, but moving on from the senior-junior relationship that really recalls traditional Japan and might seem fashionable.
Yeah.
So those sorts of communications are, the parallels are interesting.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of that, because the word mentor in English really does convey somebody who knows something more than the other.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, it's often seen as an older person, younger person, whereas the mentoring position in what I've seen in some Japanese peer-to-peer relationships is there's still somebody who knows a little bit more about the area, the space, the knowledge of a topic, and there is a two-way street with mentoring. I can recall when I was living in Japan that my supervisor there, she was very, very caring. And she was a very senior woman who had been teaching in her design and architecture department for a long time.
Yeah.
The first thing she did was ask me to come in, sit down and have some tea and some cake.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. But I thought that was special, foreigner. No, all her students.
Oh, wow.
Her senior students, the postgraduates all get that treatment. And then I saw that her junior teacher in turn did the same to all the other students, and that the male teachers in my department, seniors, also did the same thing.
Oh, wow.
So it seems to be more than just mentor, but the popularity, the spiciness of the word bromance. It just sort of changes the relationship.
Have you ever explored much of bromance within, I guess, within popular culture generally within Japan, so within pop music as well? Because there's a lot of discussion about, boy bands in particular within, not just Japan, but in Korea as well, and various other places where the bromance within that culture is at a whole other level, and there's a cultural connection to that and how it's, sort of grown over the years. So have you done any research into that, or do you have any thoughts on it?
I haven't done any research, but I do have some thoughts on it, because again, I was trying to break down the stereotypes of let's work in groups, let's do that, which is really, it probably began with Nakane-chie, but from now on, people move differently through society, and social media, all sorts of media, throughout the world, people copy.
Yeah.
But with the bromance, or I was actually looking at Midnight Musume, which is a group of females performing together, I think 20 odd years ago now. But that's a large group. We would have something, up to 12, maybe sometimes 15 members at a time on stage performing, and then the groups would split and perform, and perhaps not everybody was creating music.
Yeah.
It was all to do with the sisterhood of senior, junior.
Okay.
Still, so you would hear the terms every so often, older sister, younger sister, just as you would with school kids talking to each other throughout schools.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily hear that with the males because this particular group at that time was quite popular.
Yeah.
So you tend to get more males at the same time. And whether it's contrived is another interesting concept.
Yes,
I think maybe you need to do some research on.
Yeah.
It would be a good collaborative approach.
Yes. Well, I mean, the work I've done so far on bromances with Dr. Celia Lamb has been very much about the promotional use of bromances. So I guess a lot of time we do analyse the authenticity in that and whether it's contrived, whether it's used simply to advertise films at the time that it's being released, or whether their bromance actually continues beyond that. So when we talk about people like George Clooney and Brad Pitt, their bromance has been going on for a long time. Matt Damon, of course, within that. It's been going on for a long time, since Ocean's 11 first began, and obviously they had their series of films that followed. But, when Brad didn't go to George Clooney's wedding and all this sort of stuff happened in the media, it did start to raise questions about the authenticity of their friendship. Of course, they've stated that they're still friends. Brad was simply doing a film with Angelina at the time, and they've had to discuss it with the media. And I think the fact that they had to discuss it, and the fact that the media and fans cared so much, is the interesting aspect for me as someone that studies this area of celebrity culture. So, the question of whether it's contrived or not, I think there are many bromances out there that are. But I do think some that are authentic and perhaps are authentic, but then they are used for promotional purposes. So, when you've got something like that, why not use it? It's just the same as a relationship between a male and a female co-star when they create rumours that they're dating, or when they actually do get together from it, and they will still use that for promotional purpose, because why not? If it helps sell, it's it's an economic factor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I might have alluded sometime in some communication with you regarding Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and how in early Hollywood it was really important to have a clique going, and there was a group of people that looked exciting, and whether it encouraged the movie viewer to go on to the next movie, or whether it was actually a clique and they were having a fine time of their life. That's a hindsight story. Yeah. But as I said, in each generation, there's the old Brat Pack of the Sinatra mob, the Rob Lowe Brat Pack, and Demi Moore, and on and on.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, and I'm not the Japanese movie specialist here, because I featured on the bromance more than the large group friendships. But I'm just thinking when I listen to some music that is quite popular with an older age group, which is Anka, where there's traditional caring, almost melodramatic music and hand movements, the gestures, etc., that come across in those performances. It recalls a sentiment. Yeah. And I'm just wondering whether basically that's what all this is to recall a sentiment in order for the viewer to not be just a voyeur, but to be part of it.
Yes, I agree with that. I think a lot of the time these celebrities are creating a bond and a friendship within the media, so that fans can feel like they're a part of this sort of in-jokes and in-stories and things like that. So when they share these intimate stories of them hanging outside of set time or outside of, whatever it is they do with their careers, I think fans feel like they're getting this insight into their personal lives and therefore connecting with them on a different level. And I think, as you said, it's been going on for a long time, from the Rat Pack to the Brat Pack, and today we've got so many different bromances. I think one of the probably most common ones that people would hear about is the Seth Rogen and James Franco bromance, which they certainly use a lot to their advantage, but it does seem authentic. it's something that's been so consistent for a very long time, constantly appearing in each other's films and you know, all sorts of other things. And then use of social media and representing it as well, which I think has taken bromance to a whole new level, and celebrity culture, in fact, to a whole new level as well.
It creates a familiarism.
It does, yeah.
And I just wonder how, getting back to my area of research, is that the familiarism, the familiar, is what is trying to be used to attract that city person back to the rural lifestyle that's perceived to be traditionally Japanese, but as one of my research participants had alluded, he saw that rural Japan, and in this case where we were looking at coastal development and fisheries, he didn't respond to it at all. There was no connection whatsoever for him, and he couldn't see other than a visit to the rural region to taste the fish in the lovely area. That was the extent of the familiarity. So there obviously has to be other vehicles for advertising agencies, the tourism boards, to be able to attract people, and using that that person, that bromance, which I've yet to really tease out and see if there is a full comparison, or maybe somebody else can be doing that one. But I really do see that there is that human relationship that engages one person in one space to the other, which is what you were talking about with was it Seth Rogen, and where they're going in from movie to movie, different spaces, playing different roles, but still
maintaining that bromance throughout.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My
Appreciate you
pleasure.
coming in.
Thank you very much for asking me and encouraging me to think outside of the square.